Okay, so this is the worst metaphor ever. But what is heart? Heart is things like I can walk into a building and interact with the world. Heart is this random Pokemon that can only appear on Thursday on a very specific route with a hidden ability. Heart is a Kecleon in the middle of the road where it blocks your path, and the only reason that you'll ever interact with a Kecleon is because he is in your way. Heart is putting in random details that nobody's going to care about except for the fact that you love what you're doing. That is heart. And then you look at Pokemon Scarlet and Violet and it generally just doesn't have that heart. So for this video, I just went around some parts of Scarlet and Violet trying to soak it all in. And what I really found was this game is really empty. As a disclaimer, I haven't played the DLC because I believe that a game for £50 should be a complete game. And I did not fight any of the trainer battles because they were optional and I was always over leveled anyway. Okay, so look at the screen capture. It is just a random shop in the city of who cares. And what do you notice? I'll give you a clue. There is one Pokemon. In this entire massive frame, there is one Pokemon. And you know what issue I find with that? Is that this city could have had heart. If you look at the buildings in the background, they actually look quite nice. And all these candles and the snowy atmosphere. So you're really building up to something. But this is a Pokemon world. And a Pokemon world where I don't feel like I'm in a Pokemon world. It's not a Pokemon world. Look at this. You've got candles. So why not just add some lit wicks and some graveyards and all these Pokemon that like kind of fill out the world. You've got a store on the side. Let's add a Chimecho. Chimecho is normally known to be in one of the colder places and it's a bit more like Mystique. And oh, you've got this massive area in the middle of the corner. Let's go add a Snorlax. Just like adding Pokemon into the Pokemon world. That is what heart is. And then when you see this random Litwick just standing there, you kind of associate this city and this world and everything with it. I think everyone knows the beautiful sandwich shops where you literally can't go inside to buy anything. It just opens up a menu. But let's look at it from the outside. Look at this frame and tell me, does this look like it's part of the Pokemon world? No, there's not a single thing about this that communicates this is Pokemon. At the very least, they should have just added a mascot. Or maybe some advertisements for some Pokemon in it. And then, you know, to fill up the frame, just add more Pokemon. Elysium hasn't had much love. There's a rubbish can, add a Trubbish. I really missed that point where you could just talk to a rubbish can and then get something out of it. Let's add a mascot to the restaurant. Ooh, this is a fancy high-class restaurant. Let's go add a little Munchlax to it, because he looks like a butler anyway. And then to fill up the frame, I added these cute little Psyducks. Generally, the cutest thing I drew. Look how cute they are. It's really not that hard. Like, in older games, you would enter a building, and you would talk to the people there, and there'd just be a Pokemon standing there. And you interact with them, and they would make a sound, or do a little twirl, or you have some interactions. So why isn't that there in this game? I don't want to seem too harsh, because I do know that a lot of people in the Pokemon games, they really do love the game. But then there's so much missing from it. I was going through Levincia, and then I was like going through it, and I realized it is really big. And very big, expansive, and they put all these stores to like make it bigger. But it just felt so hollow, because there was no people walking through. There was no Pokemon. Everything had this futuristic shine, but it didn't feel like it had the heart to it. The thing is, they could have just made it smaller. If you look at all the previous games, we were fine with the fact that the cities weren't that big. We understood that this is a representation of the city. We knew that even though it was smaller, we could tell what they were trying to sell us. But now what they did was, they made these massive cities, which we can't interact with. And it just feels so heartless. You know they made a bread Pokemon in this game? Because I didn't. When I was looking through the new Pokemon released in Scarlet and Violet for this video, I realized Dashbun was in it. I always thought Dashbun was a Sword and Shield Pokemon because you did not interact with that Pokemon at all. You've got the bakery, you've got the sandwiches, you've got the Pokemon. So involve the Pokemon in the world. I'm just saying, the only way for me to fall in love with these Pokemon is to make me fall in love with these Pokemon. Does anyone remember Dolliv? No, obviously not, because you remember Smoliv. There's essentially a whole city built around Smoliv, you know, it's the Olive City. And then you remember Oboliva, because she's the last evolution. But then, I don't think you can catch a Dolive, so I did not see a Dolive at all in my 40-hour playthrough. And you've got olive stores. You've got stores that sells tomatoes and olives and all these ingredients. Just have it as the mascot. It's cute, it's small, and then you can fill the space out with more Pokemon. Dolives are cute. They are essentially the Curly of Scarlet and Violet, but you just don't see them because they're not interacted with at all. You know what really made me want to do this video? I don't like Webska. Webska is a bug. I don't like bugs. It's a dung beetle. Reminds me of poop. But it does have quite a big lore in the story game. It revives Pokemon. Except it gave that move to Pomo. So now there's no reason to ever use Webska. You could develop entire mini cultures around the fact that this has like Egyptian heritage or something. So it could have this history behind it. But no, they just literally didn't do anything. They removed this one gimmick and then just made it really annoying because you had to walk it for a certain number of steps before it evolved, and then you chuck in the PC and then you never think about it again. When you're walking through the desert, that's where you meet the little dung beetles. So why not just give some murals painted along the walls? This is a really shitty mural, but you get the idea. So the reason that I remember Kecleon is because he was your roadblock, and because he was part of your roadblock, he was part of the plot. Which means I was forced to interact with him. You could say that with like the Snorlax. Everyone remembers Snorlax because he was your roadblock. The Psyducks in Gen 4, you had to go get the medicine specifically to get past them, and that's why you remember these events. We could give a million examples because everybody has this shared memory. But if you don't make those obstacles for us, if you don't give us a reason to interact with the Pokemon, we just forget about it. This specific place has a Hariyama, and it's supposed to be your roadblock that stops you getting to the next area because it's quite a difficult area which is really easy to meet early on. Why is it a Hariyama? You've developed so many new and interesting Pokemon, and then you use this Gen 3 Pokemon. Why not use some Garganicles? They are new, they are big, they are strong. I am rambling, but just have some Garganacles as your roadblock and then people remember Garganacles. Yeah, every Pokemon for me has a story. Where I met them, anything unique about how you meet them, any trainers associated with them, special moves, special colors, special shinies. All of these are stories. But I can't fall in love with the Pokemon without these stories. And Scarlet and Violet, they're just not giving me these stories. And that's why I think it just doesn't have the heart. If you enjoyed this video, like and subscribe. I'm actually depressed now.